There are a ton of updates with the Illuminati case at the moment. Not only has OzMedia made a video response to Blair and the legal proceedings that have been going on, but there have also been some major updates on the legal front in terms of the actual case that's going on and some of the decisions that are being made by the judge. And this may include some huge wins for Blair. But at the same time, this might actually all be ending much sooner than we thought. So there is a lot to unpack here, and I'm not normally one who says a lot to unpack because that feels cliche, but in this situation, it felt right. I swear to God, if anybody makes a compilation of me saying it's a lot to unpack, then just no, go away. Don't do that. I really don't think I've said it though. I don't know. Now, if you need a reminder of all of this or you want to catch up on the situation, I have an entire playlist of videos about the Illuminati situation, as well as videos going over different legal documents that will catch you up to speed there. But the very, very condensed short version of this is that Illuminati is suing some of her former friends and employees. These are OzMedia, Wonderstruck, and Felix the KitKat. She's suing these people for defamation and breach of contract. So there's just been a lot of legal back and forth. But if you don't know what's going on, you will probably have to watch some catch-up videos. I'm sorry, I can't explain it all for you in a way that won't take 2 hours. But I want to first go over OzMedia's response. Now, he made a video ages ago talking about Blair and all of the things that she had done. And another video was promised, but this was delayed. Mostly because obviously OzMedia still needs to produce regular videos and make an income, but also presumably because of a lot of the legal stuff going on, because you can't just keep talking on the internet when there's an actual case in front of you. But now Oz has made a new video talking about the legal case, and this is the first time he's actually talking about this properly in a video. And there may even be another video as well after this one. In this, he has a lot to say about how this case has affected him, but he also goes through the entire timeline of events that have led up to all of this. And it's really important that he goes through the timeline because a lot of what he says is disputing some of the claims that Illuminati herself is trying to make about all of this, especially in regards to the legal stuff. Like, for example, Oz talks about Illuminati saying in the legal files that she lost specific amounts of revenue due to their actions. So saying that she lost this much money when Oz did this, or lost this much money when Felix did this, and that's their fault. But he goes over the fact that you can start to see that she loses subscribers and income at the same time that she tries to accuse LegalEagle of plagiarism.
Allegation 112. Defendant Felix's statement caused special damages as evident by the fact that plaintiff's revenue from videos dropped by more than 95% after defendant's tweet/X was published, from $74,646 in the period of November 23, 2022, December 23, 2022, to $2,751.72 during that same period a year later. Blair is listing a drop of revenue from a specific date period and ignoring the fact that her revenue had begun to decline far before then. The official date, April 20th, 2023, is when we can see the first damage being done to her subscriber count. This is also the day she levied accusations against LegalEagle. And then, of course, following her upload of the Illuminati exposed video, the viewership damage is fairly evident, especially in the following weeks where she saw a rapid decline.
Before we move on though, I had a quick question for you. What would happen if you took your vape and you got a truck and just ran over it multiple times? Well, I don't actually know the answer to that, but you might want to find out once you try Fume, who are sponsoring today's video. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that can help you ditch your bad habits. Flavored air, though, isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to like a sweet, sticky drink, then Fume's cores would be more like a herbal tea. And with Fume, there's no vapor, no electronics, no batteries, no nicotine, and no toxic flavors. All you do with your Fume is draw flavored air into your mouth. So it's a guilt-free alternative that you can reach for when you're trying to ditch your bad habits. Plus they have some really, really nice flavors to choose from, and some of my favorites are the crisp mint and orange vanilla. Fume continuously invests in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products, and it's backed by doctors in the US. They've served over 300,000 customers, and you could be their next success story. For a limited time, you can use my code VangelinaSkov to get a free Fume base when you order the Journey Pack. The base is an all-new magnetic stand for your Fume device. It's great for holding your Fume, and it's pretty fun to fidget with as well. Head to tryfume.com, that's tryfum.com, and use code VangelinaSkov or scan the QR code on screen to get your free Fume base when you order the Journey Pack today. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the rest of it. And that she started to lose these things after she uploaded her own video, the Illuminaughtii Exposed video, where she talked about all of this and tried to throw her former friends under the bus and aired out public information about people. So the dates that she is saying don't actually line up properly, because anytime there's a drop, it's because of her own actions. And along with this timeline stuff, he also points out very importantly that there was a few days in between Illuminaughtii accusing LegalEagle of plagiarism and then everybody making their own Twitter threads about her and the things that she had done to them allegedly. But the reason that they ended up making these threads is because the Illuminaughtii thing with LegalEagle blew up. If you don't remember, it was like 5,000 years ago at this point, but it blew up. Everybody was talking about it. Nobody was on Blair's side. So naturally, people were finding her former friends, her former colleagues, because OzMedia, The Click, Wonderstruck, One Topic at a Time, they had all been in the Sad Milk channel together. They had all worked together and collaborated together. So viewers were going and asking these former collaborators, do you know about the Illuminaughtii stuff? Do you have an opinion on this? Why don't you speak out about this? And sometimes also demanding that they speak out.
Because Blair did not publicly provide a reason or explanation towards her actions, and with the emergence of hbomberguy, Click, and Wonderstruck's threads, it left Twitter frenzied for answers. Those who were familiar with my connections to Blair, as it was public knowledge we were roommates, would begin to DM me or brigade my livestream chats with questions on the situation. Questions such as if I still supported Blair and if I could provide a reason or explanation for her actions. It was because of users constantly asking me to answer on behalf of Blair, as well as my past colleagues, finally speaking out, that I broke my silence and posted my thread.
So of course then, these people went and made their own statements, but as we know, Blair is trying to frame this as everybody is conspiring against her. They all got together and somehow planned this. But all of this started because of her own actions. And I think maybe this is a good part of the reason that OzMedia went over this entire timeline. And if you want to watch the entire timeline in his words and his going over it, then you absolutely should. Obviously, his video's in the description and you should check it out for just more than that as well, obviously for his own thoughts and his experience with this whole legal process, which he has said has been very difficult for him, understandably. Not only is it extremely expensive, it's also stressful. It's a lot to go through, and he even said something along the lines of, every time that I see an email notification, it just brings a sense of dread, and that's just a horrible thing to have to go through. They also had some more difficult things happen in their personal life. So this is to do with Oz and his partner, and that is something that I won't really get into much here, but there was a mention of a miscarriage, so that is absolutely awful. And it's unfathomable the amount of stress that this must be putting on them when they're already going through their own personal stress in their own private lives. So because of how much stress this is putting on them, and because of how difficult and drawn out and expensive legal proceedings are, in this video, OzMedia gives a public call to Illuminaughtii to settle this whole case, not just for himself, but for everybody involved. And I'm going to read you the terms that Oz is proposing in their own words, just to make sure that I'm clear with all of it. So it's that plaintiffs must dismiss all claims against all parties with prejudice once amicable terms are set forth. The with prejudice bit, if you don't remember, in legal terms means that you dismiss the case and you cannot then bring up a new case for the same thing. Plaintiff and myself will agree on a third party who we both independently trust to host a fair conversation. Their responsibility will be to ensure that each person is not spoken over and is given a chance to clear their mind. I don't know who this third party would be, but it would be very interesting to see if this actually did happen. I feel like if there is any kind of settlement, this might be the piece that iilluminaughtii fights against, because it's very hard to twist the narrative when the other person is sitting right in front of you. Plaintiffs may also take this time to take accountability for their actions instead if they wish. Legal fees of either party will not be sought out, and this will be taken for the loss that it is. I can provide no personal guarantee in either circumstance that Blair would be able to repair her public image or reputation. However, I am giving you the opportunity that your lawsuit will most certainly not. And it was said that this would need to be accepted by June 7th. Now, obviously, June 7th has passed, and there has been no word of a settlement yet. However, OzMedia did say that Blair's team are open to negotiating it, so more than likely the lawyers are talking back and forth amongst themselves, and some kind of decision will be made soon regarding whether there will be a settlement or whether all of this is going to go forward. But there are reasons for and against why you might think that iilluminaughtii may or may not. Whoa, I could not have said that more complicated if I tried. What the hell was that sentence? That was just like word after word of nonsense. Let me make that a bit clearer, if I can. What I'm trying to say is that there has been a lot of updates with the legal proceedings, and because of these updates, it may push iilluminaughtii one way or the other. Because she may think that this is a great deal and listen to OzMedia, who's saying that your public reputation will not be repaired after this. You have done considerable damage, and continuing with this legal case will probably make you look worse. So she might agree with that and then decide, okay, fine, I'm just going to settle. This stuff is all expensive anyway, and as we know, her channel is not active at all. But at the same time, there have been some wins for her, and that may boost her to feel like she should keep going and keep fighting, because she may win the legal cases. But before I talk about them, I want to point out one last thing that OzMedia said in this video, which is to do with iilluminaughtii and her thoughts on the clique's use of the or slur. Now, if you don't remember, the whole thing with Felix the KitKat and the clique and iilluminaughtii is that, all allegedly, of course, iilluminaughtii had asked Felix the KitKat to find footage of the clique saying the or slur, and had offered to pay Felix $200 to do this. It was a whole big thing. There's also more to do with this, with alt accounts and potential smear campaigns and everything like this. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I really recommend that you check out some of the videos in the playlist in the description. But she had tried to say that it was such a terrible thing that he had said the or slur, and that she would never ever say it. It is not a word that has ever been in her vocabulary. Now, she had used a service, according to OzMedia, to delete old tweets that had used unsavory language that may get her cancelled. But apparently this service does not delete images. And so there is an image of her clear as day saying the or slur. Now, whether you have a strong opinion on this word or not, it doesn't matter here, to be honest. What matters is the hypocrisy of it all, because she is just straight up lied and said, I would never say a word like this, and I think the clique should be cancelled for this. Obviously, she didn't actually say, I think the clique should be cancelled. But the smear campaigns, alleged smear campaigns and everything else, you know, there's all of that, and there she is saying it. So really here what matters is the hypocrisy. So, you know, kind of hilarious, to be honest. It would be funny if it wasn't so sad. In this video as well, Oz had a lot of things to say about Felix, but we're going to talk about more of that in a second, because I actually first want to go over the new update in regards to Felix's case. So Felix and his team had filed a motion to dismiss against iilluminauthii's case, and now the judge has responded to this motion to dismiss. Viewing the amended complaint in the light most favourable to the plaintiff, the court accepts that the portion of the YouTube video referenced in paragraph 63 to 64 of the complaint is the same as the one displayed via screenshots in paragraphs 116 to 20. It shows Blair instructing her employee Felix to help me find Click, a former employee and now competing YouTuber, saying the or slur in Sad Milk's raw audio and offering to pay him $200 to find it. Sad Milk is a YouTube channel created and managed by plaintiff Pyramid. Again, viewing the amended complaint in the light most favourable to the plaintiff, these allegations arguably state plausible claims for breach of both NDA and the agreement. They arguably state a plausible claim for the breach of NDA in that they plausibly allege that Felix, without permission, shared with a third party Pyramid information about company operations. And a plausible claim for breach of the agreement, they allege that Felix, without permission, shared with a third party confidential information for the benefit of a third party. For the reasons set forth above, I find that Claim 1 and Claim 2 in plaintiff's second amended complaint each state a plausible claim for breach of contract against Felix. So this is obviously very disappointing. It means that Felix's motion to dismiss the case has been denied, and it is more than likely going to go to court unless something else happens in the interim. But there's a lot of things that we need to talk about here. Firstly, we have the bit where it says it shows Blair instructing her employee to find the Click, a competing YouTuber, saying the or slur. The huge glaring problem with this is that at the time that these messages were occurring between Blair and Felix, so when she was asking him to do this, he was not her employee. He did not become an employee till 7 months later. He did not sign an agreement or an NDA until 7 months later, and these things do not work retroactively. This work had nothing to do with Pyramid because it was not internal Pyramid operations. This was Blair asking Felix to find some dirt on the Click and then paying him $200. Felix not even being an employee at the time. And something that OzMedia points out in his video is that iilluminaughtii paid Felix for this through a PayPal transaction. And he says, as we have said before in a previous video talking about this, that if this was a business transaction, there should be proper documentation for this to be a business expense, for this to have been paid through the company to Felix for contracted work. But it's possible that this doesn't exist because we haven't seen it yet. But if this goes to court, this is something that might be asked for. So again, if it goes to court, we might have to go through iilluminaughtii's financial stuff. She might have to have that thrown out for the world to see. And I assume that's something she doesn't want, considering what we know about some of her dealings already, including that whole tax debacle that happened, if you remember that. So it's absolutely ridiculous to suggest that what Felix did was a breach of contract because he wasn't in contract. He wasn't under the NDA because he was not an employee yet and hadn't signed anything yet. But in fairness to the judge, he is the judge and I am not. So, he went through a lot more schooling than I did, but it is required for the judge to give more leeway to the plaintiff. So to the person filing the claim, this is iilluminaughtii in this case. That's how this works. And he didn't have this information in front of him, I guess, to say that Felix is not an employee or was not an employee at this time. So he made that decision. I don't know if there's something that can be done from Felix's end of, doing a motion to dismiss the motion to dismiss the dismissal of the motion to dismiss. Try saying that fast, which is obviously not what this is officially called. But if they can do something like that and say, look, I wasn't even an employee, this is not plausible. I don't know. But if nothing is done and iilluminaughtii doesn't take this whole settlement thing, then this will go to court. As you will know as well, OzMedia also filed a motion to dismiss, and the judge has also responded to that. This one is a lot longer. It goes into a few different things. So firstly, it goes on about the anti-slap motion, which was OzMedia's team arguing that this is a slap case, so just a legal case to shut him up. And Colorado, the state where this is all happening, has an anti-slap statute. So this shouldn't be allowed.
August 29th, 2023, Blair would submit a new set of temporary restraining orders, which were denied, as well as her lawsuit against Felix, Wonder, and myself for defamation and breach of contract. It is of my opinion that Blair timed these events so I could only fight one, the foreclosure or the lawsuit, not both. I do believe that if I did not speak out against her in April, she would not have put my home through foreclosure proceedings. With these actions, timed alongside the lawsuit, it does make me firmly believe, in my opinion, it's retaliatory in nature. The restraining orders in question were to, once more, prevent publication of any information on Blair. In this restraining order, Blair directly cites the video I was originally producing as a documentary on her actions as grounds to allow this pseudo-gag order to proceed. Quoting this TRO, "Here, however, plaintiff's request for relief will cause defendants no harm, because they simply must refrain from publishing what is essentially an online op-ed piece, which they have admitted will lambaste plaintiffs. Should the court deem plaintiffs' claims to be unnecessary, defendants can simply publish their video."
It also then goes into the breach of contract claims. The first claim for relief for breach of contract alleges that Oz entered into an agreement with Pyramid that required that he not use confidential information or proprietary data for the benefit of any other person, corporation, or entity other than the employer during the term of the employee's employment with the employer or any time thereafter, and that he breached this agreement by using confidential or proprietary information to defame or otherwise harm Blair. Oz contends that the breach of contract claim against him should be dismissed because it fails to set out with particularity his statements or other conduct that allegedly breached the agreement. So basically that Blair's claims are not clear enough. She's making these claims but not saying what things exactly are breaching the contract and how. Paragraph 46 alleges that in September of 2023, Oz released a YouTube video titled "Let's Talk," an update on the Illuminaughtii drama, which contained accusations in which Oz falsely accused plaintiffs of embezzlement. But nothing in either paragraph sets out the specifics as to how Oz purportedly used confidential or proprietary information to defame or otherwise harm Blair. So this is then agreeing with what Oz's lawyer said, which is that Blair's claims do not properly lay out how he actually breached contract. No such specific factual allegations support this claim, and accordingly, it is dismissed. So this is a good win for Oz. Something is actually being dismissed, thank God. But then we get on to the defamation portion. Oz contends that the remaining claims against him, the third and fourth causes of action, should be dismissed because of the anti-slap statute. The statements identified in Claim 3 made in a YouTube video by Oz after the case was filed, and Claim 4 is to do with Oz allegedly accusing Blair of having placed him in a dependent, arguably coercive financial relationship with her. And unfortunately, the judge says that the anti-slap statute does not apply because Oz cannot satisfy the threshold part of the analysis. So basically saying that Oz's claims about Illuminaughtii are not an issue of public interest, which is part of the criteria for an anti-slap statute. So because it doesn't meet the threshold for the anti-slap statute, he goes on to talk about a different standard, the Warn standard. This apparently is the traditional elements of a defamation claim are a defamatory statement concerning another published to a third party with fault amounting to at least negligence on the part of the publisher, either accountability of the statement irrespective of special damages or the existence of special damages to the plaintiffs caused by publication. So it's just a big way of looking at whether a statement is defamatory or not based on a certain amount of criteria. Now, I won't go through the entire bit of the judge talking about the reasons why certain things do or do not meet these criteria because it's long and it's a bunch of legal stuff. But it says here, accordingly, I find that Claim 3 satisfies the Warn standard, but Claim 4 does not. Finally then, it goes on to talk about the 9th claim for relief. So if you remember, iilluminaughtii had to make a second amended complaint. So the complaint that she made was so lacking and so terrible that the judge said, you need to do a better job of this and explain verbatim the statements that you're saying are defamation, are breach of contract. You need to do better. And she resubmitted this. She did her new claim. However, she added something to it. Oz objects to plaintiff's 9th claim for relief for computer fraud. So this was the new thing that she added, on the ground that the amendment to include this claim was not approved by the court. And then the judge says, I will approve the inclusion of the 9th claim for relief in the second amended complaint, but it will be my expectation that the complaint is now in its final form. So she is getting to include this thing even though she didn't include it originally, for some reason. For the reasons set forth above, Oz's motion to dismiss is granted in part. Dismissal of the 1st and 4th claim for relief against defendant Oz is granted. Dismissal for the 3rd and 9th claim for relief is denied. So half of it has been dismissed, which is a good thing. It means that he won't have to fight all of it, but unfortunately, some of it still is going forward. And again, the same thing I said with Felix, if nothing happens in the interim and if Blair doesn't accept some kind of settlement and they can't agree to some kind of settlement, then this will end up in court. And my worry is that because of the small win that iilluminaughtii has had with being granted some of this to go forward, and as well Felix's motion to dismiss being denied, that she might think that she has a huge chance and will just continue with this and will ruin everybody financially, essentially, and it'll just be a long, stressful process for everybody involved. OzMedia has said that he's okay with going forward with this if that's what has to happen. He's not worried about it because he believes he's in the right, and that's great, but it will still be stressful. You know, no matter what happens, it's going to be stressful and expensive and time consuming for everybody, because if it goes to court, this will go on for years. But we will be waiting for the update on this whole thing in case there is some kind of settlement agreement. Honestly, for everybody involved, it seems like the best way forward. I mean, what is anybody going to achieve from this? If iilluminaughtii were to win this case, which I personally don't believe would happen, just given what we can even see without all the background information. But if she were to win, all she would get out of this is a win. Besides that, she will have completely destroyed any chance of rebuilding her reputation and any chance of keeping her brand. So this just doesn't seem like a win for anybody, to be honest. So we have yet to see. We will see what happens. In the meantime, Oz does have another GoFundMe, so I will link that in the description. And I also want to say a huge thank you to case.There. He was the one who found these documents and also really, really kindly emailed them to me. I didn't even have to ask for them. He just emailed them to me, so I was really appreciative of that. Thank you, case.There, for that, and obviously case.There is in the description. case.There went quite deeply into these, so you can check out his channel as well, and obviously check out Oz's video. But that's going to be it for me for now, so let me know in the comments what you thought about all of this, and if you don't want to leave me a comment about that, then let me know what you ate today, because comments help my engagement. I had some tofu. It was delicious. Tofu and vegetables. It's great time. Also remember that you can still get for a limited time the Small Clams Court merch. If you know, you know. Check that out, link in the description as well. Honestly, link in the description for everything. For Patreon, check that out. For merch, for my social media, which is VangelinaSkov everywhere. Please don't forget to subscribe. It helps me a lot if you do that. Genuinely, that is the big one. If you do nothing else at the end of this video, if you check nothing out, at least subscribe. Thank you. Like, comment, share, do all the things that I'm supposed to ask you to do at the end of a video, including remembering to check out Fume. Thank you to Fume for sponsoring today's video, and thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.